Hello and welcome to Abundant Universe. My name is Ray, and in this channel, we explore the laws of the universe, the power of the mind, and how to create from within. In our last video, we talked about the inner and the outer worlds. To really understand that we are living simultaneously in two worlds. Although most of us, we think we are living in one big world, but that's not true. We are living in two worlds. The inner world of our thoughts and reactions, and the outer world of our circumstances and situations. And in the last video, I did provide an example of, to show you how, sometimes while you can be in one place, your mind, while physically you are in one place, or you could be in a room, but your mind could be thinking of, you could be in a totally different place within your mind. Okay, I did explain in the last video. And now I'm going to ask you to forget all your problems and just relax while I bring you this great law that will help you to take control of your mind and direct it to ends of your own choice. Now, this law is based on the premise that we become what we think about. I'll repeat, we become what we think about. Now, this is one of the greatest secrets of the universe, yet it should not be a secret at all. Now, great teachers, great mystics, philosophers, throughout history, all agreed on this powerful truth that we become what we think. We become what we think. Okay, now, this truth is also the key to success. It is also the key to failure. Okay, and I will show you why that is. Now, because we become what we think, it stands to reason that the person who has a concrete goal, a concrete and worthwhile goal, will reach that goal. Now, this is because that is what he is thinking about. So, if a person has a worthwhile goal, he will reach that goal because that is what he is thinking about. And thus, people with goals succeed, and people with no goals fail. Why? Because they have no goals, and because they have no goals, they are not going anywhere. There is no destination. Now, to understand that a goal is just like a destination, right? It means you have somewhere that you are going. So it's just like if somebody starts a journey towards a destination, they 99% they get to where they are going. But if you don't have a destination, you are going to end up nowhere, right? I think that's very simple to understand. And that's where the premise, what we become, what we think about. Now, why do we become what we think about? To understand this, we'll use a comparison. I'll compare the mind with a garden. Now, the mind is like a fertile garden. Now, think of a very fertile garden. Now, we will use the analogy of a gardener who plants seeds in his garden. Now, this gardener, he has corn seeds, right? And also he has corn seeds, and also he has seeds, which is a deadly poison. Okay. Now we all know that the garden will return what has been planted in the garden. So corn seeds will produce corn plants, right? Nightshade poisonous seeds will produce poisonous plants, right? It also follows that tomato seeds will produce tomato plants. Cucumber seeds will produce cucumber seeds. Now, that is very straightforward. Okay, we all know, that this is very plain. Okay, we can all understand that, right? That if you plant a cucumber seeds, you will get cucumber plant. That is very straightforward. Now, this is also true with how your mind works, right? And how your thoughts, work, right? And because of that, thinking positive thoughts is like planting positive seeds in your mind, okay? Which will bring or, bear fruit or bring positive results, right? And thus, thinking positive thoughts will bring positive results. Thinking negative thoughts will bring negative results, right? And thinking of nothing will produce no results. Okay. Now, in just like in real life, right? When you don't plant anything in your garden, right? It's not that nothing is going to grow. We all know that. That if you don't plant anything in the garden, you are going to get weeds in the garden, right? So where do the weeds come from? The weeds come from, the seeds that are dispersed by the wind, by, animal dispersion, or, there's many ways that the seeds, these weeds will just come, right? And the same is true with our minds, that if you don't consciously insert or plant thoughts into your mind, it's not that nothing will happen. What will happen is that the mind will seed itself. The mind will plant thoughts on its own into this mind, right? Now, where do the mind get all these thoughts to plant? The mind will get the thoughts to plant in your mind, in your garden. These thoughts will come from the environment, okay? The mind will start feeding on the environment if you don't consciously, insert thoughts into it. And it will get these seeds or these thoughts from the environment, from the television, from the media, from, the people around you, from, the environment. Now, we know that the environment is very negative. We know there's always negative news on the television. We know the negative news in the newspapers, in the workplace. People are always complaining, and people, they carry a lot of negativity. Okay, so if you feed on the environment, what you are doing is you are planting negative thoughts into your mind, and that's how you start getting stressed. You just feel tired, and that's what happens. So what does that mean? It means you have to take care of your own garden. As I said, just the way God takes care of his garden, you plant the seeds, right? When you plant the seeds, it's not that you forget the garden. You come and then you start weeding. You want to water the garden. You want to put a fence around it so that, you are protected. Otherwise, birds or these animals, they'll come and eat all your fruit and stuff, right? And your whatever you've planted. So you have to fence around. And that taking care of your garden with protecting it, watering it, weeding it, that's exactly what you need to do with your mind. In your mind, you need to constantly be on the guard for negative thoughts, and you need to weed out those negatives. Otherwise, just like if you don't tend your garden, you will soon find that it's been overrun with weeds. Same thing, if you don't take care of mind, and you don't consciously insert thoughts, and you don't take guard of what is going on into your own mind, you will be overrun with the negatives, and then you just end up in a negative vibration. Okay? Now, why is this so? Now, this is because just like the garden is like your mind, right? Just like, the garden, just like a garden, your mind will produce whatever is planted into it. Just like the garden, your mind will produce whatever whatever thoughts are inserted in there. And it doesn't matter whether those thoughts are coming from you or from the environment or the people or whoever, right? The mind will have to produce corresponding thoughts, right? And so to understand that your mind is like a garden and your thoughts are like the seeds and you are the gardener, right? So you need to understand that relationship, okay? It will make life easy for you to understand, the law that I'm bringing to you, that we become what we think about, okay? So much so, just like you can make your garden like a botanical masterpiece, with the best roses, with the best flowers. The same thing is you can neglect it and you can be completely overrun with weeds. So the same with your mind. You can put thoughts and it can make, become like, a very, very good life and everything. Okay? Okay, now let's move on. Now, again, to repeat, I like to repeat things, okay, because that's part of the program. You see, okay, so I had a small glitch with my computer right now. So, but anyway, I was saying, repetition is one of the tools that we use in this program. So, we at Abundant Universe, we use repetition because we understand that's how we learn through repetition. So just to repeat the fact that, to remember that the garden does not really care. Yeah, it will produce whatever is planted. Okay, it will produce, corn seeds the very same way it will produce, poisonous seeds, right? Likewise, your mind will produce anything that is planted or inserted into it, right? Very, very important, to understand that your mind will produce anything that has been planted into it. So you need to start taking care of what thoughts are you inserting in your own mind. Okay, now the human mind is far, far more fertile than a garden. Okay, but it works the same way and it will produce whatever is planted within it, right? Whether you plant success, failure, fear, a worthwhile goal, confusion, anxiety, and so on and so on, it will produce whatever. You constantly think of fearful thoughts, you will get more things that will frighten you. You think of success, you are producing success to yourself. If you are thinking about confusion and all that, you are bringing confusion into your life. If you are anxious, anxious, you know you are also inviting things to be anxious about. Okay, just as the greatest book say, just as it is said in the greatest book, as ye shall sow, so shall ye reap. Okay, that is in the greatest book, just to show you that this knowledge has been known throughout the ages. Now, it is said the human mind is the greatest unexplored continent on earth. It contains riches beyond our wildest dreams, and it will produce whatever we want, whatever we want and whatever we plant. Now, you might ask, if that's true, why don't people use their minds to get what they want? Well, this question has already been answered. Now, because our mind comes as, just part of who we are, it's kind of the equipment we get free. We at birth, we get it free. Okay, it's part of us, right? And things that we get free, we place very little value to them. Things that we pay for, we value. Okay, and that is that is the reason why people don't use their minds, because it's free. Nobody paid for the mind that they have, and because we place very little value on the things that we get for free. Okay? The paradox is that exactly the opposite is true. Everything that is truly of value to us came to us free. That is our mind, our body, our children, our parents, our friends, our ideas, our dreams, our intelligence. These things come to us free. Okay? They came to us free. And that is why when you lose the things that we pay for and that we buy, we can easily replace them, right? Because you can just buy another one. If you lose your car, if your car is lost, is stolen, you can get a new one, right? If your house gets on fire or is burned, you can also build another house, okay? However, the things that come free, if you lose them, like your parents, you cannot replace them. Okay? So now I don't expect you to understand fully this law works, but you can now start to understand why this is true, that we become what we think about. This is a universal law, right? Just like gravity, I gave an example of universal laws and I mentioned gravity as one of those laws that are universal, that if you throw your wallet up, it has to come down. And that law does not matter who you are, where you are. If you throw your wallet up, it has to come down. It's universal. And so it is with this law, that we become what we think about. It is a law that if you think negative, in negative terms, you will get negative results. If you think positive terms, you will get positive results, because it is a law. What this means is that your thoughts are very powerful, and we should start paying attention to what we are thinking, because when you think, you are planting seeds in your mind which will bear fruit. That is why in the last video I gave you an exercise to start observing your thoughts and to start getting an understanding of how your mind works. Also, this is a good opportunity to show you how this connects to the inner and outer worlds I discussed. So, for example, you plant your thoughts with seeds in the inner world, which is the garden in the analogy, and the results are what you become. And what you become is the person we see in the outer world. You can now see the relationship between the inner and the outer. Inner is the garden. It's the mind. Remember, you can't see your mind, right? You've got a brain, but the actual mind, nobody can see it because it's an inner space, okay? So you plant your seeds in the inner, you plant your thoughts in the inner world, and the results, what we see, okay? When you see a negative person, that is the result of the thoughts that he's been planting in his mind. That's a result of the thoughts going on in his head. When you see somebody who's positive, who's friendly, who's happy, it means he's planting happy, successful, loving thoughts, right? And we see them in the outer, but the planting is in the inner. Now, I know this information might sound strange and new to most of us. Why is this? It's because we have never been taught how to use our own minds. We have never been taught how to think. And why is this? Because this information that I'm sharing with you is not taught in schools, and our parents, most of our parents, were never taught this as well, and they don't teach us because they don't know about it. However, like I said before, This information has been known for thousands of years. That is why it is said in the greatest book, as ye shall sow, so shall ye reap. This shows from biblical times it's been known that you become what you think. Now, my question to you is this information is my question to you is, why is this information not taught in schools? Why don't we have a subject called how to think or how to use your mind? Why do we not have a subject like that in schools? Also, do you think this information should be taught in schools? Okay, let me know in the comments below. I would really like to know your thoughts about this. Also, as mentioned before, like I mentioned in the last video, I don't take credit for the information I'm presenting or passing on to you. This information has been known from the beginning of times, and it's been taught in different ways in the Bible, from the great teachers in the Bible, from philosophers, from writers, from academics. Okay, some of it is also available on the public domain. It's just that it's not taught in schools. Okay, and you see this why this information is already there is we even have sayings that we use in our daily language, like you reap what you sow. Okay, where is this coming from? It's coming from the idea that you are reaping or you are getting results from what you planted, what you sow, what you planted in the garden. Now, what is it that you planted? It's in this case, as humans, the only thing that we can plant is your own thoughts in your mind. That's why people, when something happens, they say you reap what you sow. They don't mean you were in a garden, they mean in their mind. So that's where that is coming from. So that's why I'm saying this information has been known for thousands of years. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, we always come with an exercise. Okay. So for today, the exercise is I'm going to ask you to get a pen and paper, or if you want, you can type it on your phone or you can put it on your Word document. That's fine, right? But the main thing is I want you to decide what you really want. Okay. I want you to think of what you really want in life. Okay. And it will be one of the most important decisions you ever make, right? So I want you to write down your goal and plant that goal in your mind. And if you do that, that goal will become your reality. Okay? So take time, think about what it is that you want. Okay? Because some of us are doing things that we don't want. Some of us are in jobs that we don't want. It doesn't have to be that way, right? Your mind can help you to be in a situation you want. Remember, it's an exercise of sitting down, thinking, okay, what is it that I really want? Because some people have never asked them that question, simply because some people have fallen into the trap of follow the follower concept. They just follow others who are doing other things. And the danger of that is that sometimes you might be following somebody who is following somebody. And when you then get to ask the person who that person is following, they don't know where they are going. So you should be very careful and start thinking for yourself. Take control of your own mind. Okay. So with that, we've come to the end of the video. Okay. And if you like the content that I'm bringing to you, please like and subscribe, and we can continue working together in this journey of growth and self-awareness. So I'm looking forward to meet you next time when I bring another video. Thank you.